everybody, so I've got quite a few new things to try today, starting with the Tom Ford new Architecture Soft Matte Setting Powder. I'm going to try this one side and I'm going to try the Rare Beauty the other because these have come out quite close together, both having similar promises, so we can see which one you might prefer. And I've got these two shades in the new YSL Make Me Blush liquid blush. I'll be trying on both of these and doing some comparisons with lots of similar liquid blushes that have come out this year. And I've got 3 shades of the new NARS Explicit Satin lip, which I'll be trying on. And I've got one MultiChrome powder from Karla Cosmetics. This is a one and done for the eyes and it is exceptional, so I just had to show you this one. And if you're new here, hi, my name's Hannah. I'm 47, not a professional, just somebody who really loves makeup and beauty. And here on my channel, I like to show you my favourite looks and review the latest makeup, give you any beauty news, chat about what we're most interested in. And if you think you'd enjoy this sort of content, I would love it so much if you liked and subscribed and hit the notification bell. And if you're already subscribed to my channel, welcome back and thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And please do comment below because I do love getting to know all of you and chatting to the ones I've already got to know. That is my favourite part of this job, it really is. And my skin tone, if that's helpful to you, I've got fair to light skin with neutral, slightly cool undertones, combination skin with a oily T-zone. Anyway, let's get on with this video. So I'll be starting with this setting powder. I've done my foundation and I've done my concealer, so I'm ready to be set. But before I do that, I'll just show you this up against another powder and give you some product information. So here is the packaging, always beautiful, from Tom Ford. And then inside you've got this brush, a good mirror, good stand-up mirror. And I've got the lightest shade here. This one is 01 Alabaster Nude. So this cost me £80, the most expensive setting powder like this I think I've ever bought. This has 9 grams in it. It's described as having sublime softness, a cloud-like veil, ultra sensorial formula which comforts the skin, while spherical powders help to control shine. Superfine translucent powder blurs the look of imperfections with a filter-like diffused matte finish. And this comes in 3 other shades. So I'm just going to show this against other shades which are quite similar. So the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder, this is in shade 1 Fair. You can see the shades are reasonably similar, although I would say the Tom Ford is slightly lighter. I'm going to swatch this on the back of my hand where I've actually got tan because it's more likely to show up there, so you can see what I mean. So here is the Tom Ford and here is the Charlotte Tilbury. So they are slightly different. And I've got the YSL, which is actually a finishing powder, but I use it for very similar purposes. This is the All Hours Hyper Finish in 01. So here is the YSL. Can't see that at all, it just blends in completely with my tan there. If I showed you it on my natural skin, it would be even more invisible. And I've got this from Hourglass. This is the Vanish Airbrush Press Powder and this is in Translucent Light. So here is the Hourglass. So looking at that, the one that stands out the most to me, that you can see most on my skin, is actually the Tom Ford. And I can tell you now, because I've tested this out for a number of days, this has actually been my problem with this powder, is it showing up on my skin in a way it really shouldn't. It should just be blending in, which most of the powders I've just showed you do. The Rare Beauty is a little bit too yellow and does show up, so I think they're actually going to be good comparisons, but I do think that there could also be fails for exactly the same reason. But I am going to apply it a little bit differently today just to see if it works better, because I'm not writing this one off just yet. So I'm going to use my Rare Beauty puff and take some to set under the eye. Now this is how much comes off straight away. You do pick up a lot of product with this, which I think could be one of the reasons I've had problems. So I'm really tapping off more than I would normally on the back of my hand. And then I'm just going to use my beauty sponge now to make sure that my concealer is nicely set in. Now I will set. Now what I can tell you, because I've tested this for a good 5 days, is this works brilliantly under the eye. It does not exaggerate texture. I actually think the colour works quite well under the eye. I've had no problems with it at all. It is blurring, long lasting, no creasing, no settling into fine lines. It is really good. There is no problems with this one at all for me under the eyes. So it's passing that test for sure. And now with the other side of the puff, I'll show you Rare Beauty under the eye. So here is the Rare Beauty. And you can see straight away how it's just more yellow. At least I hope you can see that on camera, because this one is more blurring, it's not creasing and showing my lines as much, and it's just a better colour. So the Tom Ford is more brightening and it's less yellow. I do really like this Rare Beauty powder, but the colour, I've got the lightest shade and it's just too yellow generally, so it's such a shame. But yeah, it's definitely showing a bit more creasing, whereas there's nothing there. So perfection from Tom Ford in this area. So because this picks up so much using a puff, I find that patting it in all around the face is just exaggerating texture, looking cakey, very makeup-y, and every time I've tried it on different types of foundations, different bases, it just hasn't looked good. From there above it's looked really perfect, to be honest, but as soon as it gets to this area here, it's been looking awful, and I've just been seeing texture that I don't tend to see, and it's been looking cakey. But I'm wondering if that's the puff just picking up too much, because you do seem to get a lot of product with this. So I'm going to use a fluffy brush. This is my Chikuhodo powder brush, and I'm just going to swirl over this a little bit lightly. This is how the brush looks. And now I'm just going to dust this into the T-zone area and here, the treble zone, to see if this will set these areas. I'm going to leave the cheek because we're going to be trying on the liquid blush, although I will set the liquid blush with this and try the liquid blush on top after, because that's a good way to test both powder and blush. So I'm just going to dust this lightly across the forehead. You can see straight away how that light dusting has taken away the shine. At the moment, giving me this sort of light coverage, I think the application's working much better. So with that light dusting there, it's not doing what it did all the other times I've tried it with a puff. So definitely the key with this, to keep that sort of perfected finish, is to go for a really very light. So obviously it does come with this brush for this purpose, but I'm not going to use that today. But you could use this if you wanted to take this out with you for daytime touch-ups. But I really wanted to show you the best possible finish, and this powder brush from Chikuhodo is the best powder brush I've ever tried. So I know that this is the best way to try and demonstrate it, and definitely without the puff I am much happier. The area that looked cakey yesterday, I think the reason is just because way too much product was going on with the puff. So I'm not going to give this a fail now, because that was what I needed to test and hadn't tested prior to this video. So I'm really glad we got to see that together. So that is giving me the perfected finish like I got from under the eye. So now I've done it this way, really liking this. So I'm just cleaning off the Chikuhodo brush so we can do the Rare Beauty on this side. You can see how I've lost the shine on this side, which is exactly what I wanted. I've still got a bit of shine there. That's because I haven't set, obviously. But you can really see how I can see anyway that my texture is gone from here. It's blurred and the shine has gone, and it's definitely not yellow. So I haven't actually been trying Rare Beauty with this brush either. I don't know why it's only just occurred to me I should swap and only use the puff under the eye. But for some reason, oops, I went on the cheek a bit then. I mustn't do that because we're doing the blush. So let's see if the Rare Beauty used with the brush is going to be a bit better as well. Straight away I can see texture showing up here, which is what happened with Tom Ford. Straight away I can see that. Not terrible, maybe better using the brush, but straight away, because it's just a little bit yellow. And it's definitely not getting rid of the shine as quickly or as easily, so I am having to layer up the Rare Beauty. The Rare Beauty is exceptionally lightweight, and you can layer and layer and layer and you won't feel it. But my problem with it is if I overlayer, you start to see the yellow a bit. So I am definitely putting on quite a lot more of the Rare Beauty. But it's definitely applied better with the brush. I think the Tom Ford side looks more smooth and more perfected, and the colour is better on this side. I am definitely looking a little bit more yellowy this side. Not terribly though, it's definitely improved using that brush. So I'm glad I've tried that. What do you think of the two anyway? If I was going to say, is the Tom Ford worth 80? When we talk about the ones I looked at earlier, such as Charlotte Tilbury I can't use under the eyes, but it gives a lovely finish everywhere else. So for that reason, Tom Ford would win, because I can use it under the eyes. The YSL is a finishing powder, not a setting powder, so it's a bit difficult. I don't use this for setting under the eyes. I use this at the very end. I can tell you now, this is my favourite finishing powder. I love this, but there's probably no point saying it's better than Tom Ford because this is really just a finishing powder for me, never a setting powder. And the Hourglass, I think this gives the best finish on the face, but it doesn't work so well under the eyes. So having said all of those things, Rare Beauty also can be used under the eyes, but you can see there's a bit of creasing there. Can you see how if I just bunch my eyes up, you can just see the sort of lines there? So much more exaggerated on the Rare Beauty side compared to the Tom Ford side. I really hope you can see what I mean. I know I look really silly now, but do you see what I mean? So Rare Beauty can be used under the eyes, but it's still not as good. The others are worse under the eye. Tom Ford wins, doesn't it? It actually wins out of all of them, applied the way I did. Had I not used that brush, I would have written this off. So go lightly, especially everywhere else if you get this, but at the moment that is looking like a really perfect finish. Let's move on to the blushes, and then we can see how this sits on top of the blush and the blush on top as well. So that'll be another good test for it. So YSL have just launched these. There are 6 different shades, and this is £33. So this promises an all day long lasting healthy flush. It's weightless yet high payoff formula, allows you to tailor your look from healthy flush to lifted looking cheeks. It says that it's a non-sticky, non-creasing texture, which we can see now. It also promises not to disturb your makeup underneath, so we'll see if it will lift my foundation or whether the claims are correct. And there's Florrie. Is there a video without Florrie's little input? And this promises a 12-hour all day long wear. That says that these shades are skin adaptable couture shades that flatter all skin tones. So does that mean any 6 will suit any skin tone because they will adapt to your skin tone? I think that's what they're suggesting. I think looking at the skin tones, I could probably get a white skin tone. Looking at the shades, I could probably get away with all of them. It's more to do with how you apply them. So before I put these on, I'm going to do some comparisons because this has been the year of the liquid blush. So let's compare them to the ones I've already tested this year. So I picked up the brightest pink. I don't know if this will be too bright, but I have picked up a lot of bright pinks this year, so I thought I'd test it against that. So here's the beautiful packaging. I love the sort of solid feel of this, and the YSL around the top as always. A nice big doe foot there for application, a good shape. You get quite a lot on the actual doe foot there. So this is number 66. So here is how it's looking. Pretty pigmented, quite a thick formula by the looks of it. And I've got the Armani in number 53. I think this is going to be a lighter shade of pink. In fact, I know it is. Quite a lot lighter and slightly less thick, I'd say, the Armani. Got here the ABH. This is in baby pink. Again, much lighter and definitely thinner, a lot thinner. God, these shades really are different. And then the Huda Beauty in Cotton Candy. These pinks are so different, aren't they? And this one is actually from last year, although they did bring out new shades, so I don't know exactly when this one came out. This is from NARS and this is Dolce Vita. Very different shade. So as you can see, all the ones I've chosen to compare with are not remotely similar. I'm just going to look at these textures on my arm. The YSL almost feels like it's dried down to me, so it's definitely more of a dry finish than any of the other formulas, and it is less runny. I'd say the runniest out of all of these is actually the one from NARS, and the next driest would be the one from ABH. It is a matte finish, so you would expect that. And then I'd probably say that Huda and Armani are fairly similar in from the point of view of being quite lightweight and more watery. So next I've got shade 57 from YSL. Again, I don't think anything is going to match this colour, so I've picked this up thinking it would be a sort of peachy shade, but it actually looks more orangey to me there. I've got the Armani 50.5 here. I know that these are not going to be a match. They're very different. Guava, which is actually more of a pink anyway. It's the only other shade I've got, so just showing you for reference. And another shade from NARS, this one is called Brazen. So this is a much more of a deep orange. So we've got four very different shades here. The one from ABH is really more of a pinky coral almost. But again, we've already said about the formulas, so I'm just really showing you the colours here. And I've looked through all of the Hourglass shades. I don't think any of them are a match for any of the ones from YSL. But this one is Whim, so I'm going to show you Whim. This is Whim here, and then this is this new YSL. So again, the YSL is already feeling dry. My finger's actually got blush on it, so there's no point showing you that. But if I show you how it's not picking up too much, it's picking up a little bit, whereas the Hourglass is still really wet. So definitely very different formulas, and obviously very different shades. This is quite interesting actually. I was thinking, oh god, another liquid blush. I don't think I want to try another one. But this is quite a different formula looking at it compared to all of those. And certainly the shades are not a match for any of the ones I've got. So if you've been buying the sort of bright pinks and oranges or peaches, these will be new colours for you. So going by the amount of pigment, I will put a tiny amount of this. I will try it straight on the cheek. Even though that's not the recommended way, well, it's not my recommended way, I prefer on the back of the hand. So I'll see how it goes on this one and change to the hand if I think. I'm nervous because of how pigmented this looks. I'll use my trusty 109 brush. Now, when I rubbed this in on my wrist, it did look like, yeah, there we go, it dilutes. Actually, that goes on quite nicely. Not as scary as I thought it could be. Taking a little bit of time to work it out though. It's not just spreading out quickly like the Hourglass one does. I feel like I've got a bit there that's taken quite a bit of time. And there's no powder here, so this is cream on cream. But after a bit of work, I think that looks really nice. Really, really pretty. Now, I do need a bit more. Not that I'd want an awful lot more. That's given me a lovely finish. It's given me a bit of a glow actually, hasn't it? I'm going to put a little bit more there. I don't want a colour like this climbing too high. I don't know if I've gone too far now. I don't want this sort of colour climbing too high up the sides. I'll go a little bit closer to the eye. And see how it does need, you need to work fast. I would definitely not don't dot both sides. See, now I've got a harsh edge of a strong colour and I've got to work hard to fix it. In fact, I don't even think I can do it with my trusty 109. I'm going to have to go in with a sponge. So the sponge has definitely made that better. Give me more of a softer edge. It hasn't picked up my foundation, so it's definitely true from that point of view. Once it's calmed down, I like it, but I'm feeling like this is a little bit too much work. A little bit on the back of my hand, because I took maybe too much off then with a sponge. I'm trying it by, I think, dotting it on your face is definitely not the way forward with this one. Definitely a lot easier to do it this way. Yeah, that's much better. I'm not going to be put off yet because let's try the other application. So I'll clean off this 109. The doe foot is not actually picking up a lot of product. I had to go back in 3 times to get that much on the back of my hand. So now I'm going in with the 109, rubbing it in so that the brush is covered and, oh, okay. And there's nothing there. Okay, that is really strange. What happened there? This doe foot is just not picking up any product. That's the most I've managed to get off this doe foot with some really deep scrapes. So I don't know why the doe foot's being so useless. So tapping in with my brush, hopefully picking up more. And let's see if it shows up. Not much. What on earth? I mean, you can see a tiny, tiny flush of orange, but it is so light. This is my 3rd swipe on the back of my hand. Okay, well, I'm going to have to go in straight to the face to just get a bit more pigment, I think. Let's see how that goes. See how this applies. Definitely showing up more that way. I'm really conflicted on how to suggest this one is applied because it dries down so fast. I think it's probably safer on the back of your hand, but when I do that, it just seems to vanish. I don't know. At the moment, I'm really not very happy. I haven't had to fiddle around and try different methods like this with any of the new ones I've tested this year. I mean, the Armani one, I would have finished 5 minutes ago. So I quite like that shade. This one still needs a bit of calming down for me. It's too much, but it's enough for you to see what the shade is like. I think this one's the nicer one, definitely a summer shade, but I can't actually say I love either. So I did say I would powder and then try it on top of powder. So I'm going to go in now with my Chikuhodo and the Tom Ford Architecture and just dab this on so we see how this sits on top. It does immediately perfect, see? And trust me, you will look like this 10 hours later. I've tried this powder all week and I've loved the way it's looked here. It was just this bit here that I had the problem with, and I think it still looks so good that I'm not going to have those concerns. So I'll go in with the Rare Beauty and do the same on this side. I don't know how noticeable this is because I'm looking in a close-up mirror, but can you just see how much more perfected this side looks compared to Rare Beauty? I'd like to tell you that the cheaper one is the better one, but I'm definitely preferring the Tom Ford. So I do think that the blush looks better now I've powdered over it because I didn't really like the colours, but I'm going to try some back on top. I really don't know which way to do this. If I put it on top of powder, it could be a nightmare. Anyway, let's just try it. For science, as they say, let's just experiment. Let's see how this sits on top of powder. Sometimes when you put blushes on top of powder, the pigment can show up so much more and actually the product becomes a really hit product. So I found that with a number of things I've tried this year. The Huda, for instance, I love that one on top of powder. That is actually a lot nicer. I much prefer that on top of powder. So this side, I do not need any more blush, but again, for science, let's see. So I am dotting it on top, so I'm going to change my mind completely about the back of the hand idea because it just didn't seem to work at all, especially with that light orange. This colour is just too much for me. I think if you're fair, there is a paler pink, so I would probably recommend, if you've got my skin tone, going for the paler pink because this one is really popping now on top of that powder. But I do think it's sitting nicer. I seem to be getting a little bit of a gap there where maybe things have been removed there. It didn't happen this side. But can you see there's this almost like a patch there where my foundation maybe is moved or where this is refusing to sit? It's a bit odd. What's that all about? I do not like that at all. This side's definitely better. So I really don't like the way either side is looking, especially this one with a patch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to take everything off my cheeks, put everything back on I had as my base, and then I'm going to reapply the blushes just on top of powder and not underneath powder, and we'll see how it looks then. So I've gone back, done everything, and I've used the powders on top, and I'm just going to do the orange this time because that pink, well, I want to look more even because we will be trying on lipsticks and I will look a bit odd if I don't. So I'm also thinking that that bright pink is just too deep for me. Honestly, I really didn't enjoy using that one at all. So just tapping this in quickly because I did put it on both sides, which I've already told you not to do. So ignore me, don't do both sides first, do one at a time, they do dry down. That's better, definitely better. So this is how the YSL in that lighter orange is looking with foundation, then powder, then this. So that is definitely for me the better finish. I've gone in and put a little bit of highlighter on. I'm sticking with the orange because I just want a cohesive look so we can look at the lipsticks without looking completely bizarre. But I'm now going to go in with the eyes. I've got this from Karla Cosmetics. I've loved this so much I had to show you. So this is one of their Opal MultiChrome pressed eyeshadows. This is $21.99. So I just picked up one, but I can tell you I was so impressed with this, I've gone back and got another two. I haven't tried a lot from Karla's Cosmetics, but I have picked up a couple of shiny things and I did quite like them, but this is the first product I've tried that's made me think, wow. This is described as an enchanting opal eyeshadow, versatile prismatic finish infused with liquid powder hybrid colour changing pigments. They create a soft, ultrafine texture that glides effortlessly onto the eyes and skin. I've got a feeling this is a UK brand, so I don't know how available this is, but I think you can get this everywhere. Please let me know, and other subscribers, if you can get this outside of the UK, because you'll see now how fabulous this is. So I'm taking this with my little finger and watch. Look at that. Now obviously you need to like your very shiny eye finishes, but if you like a Pat McGrath, oh my wow, that's an incredible finish, maybe even up a notch, that's what you'll get with this. Now all I've got is a bit of bronzer in the crease, and I'm just going to take this over the whole of my lid, and that's my whole eye look done. Look at the shift. Isn't that absolutely stunning? And how easy was that? It's done. It's the quickest eye look ever, because it's so quick. You don't even need a brush to go in and finish because it's just perfect. Even using my finger, it just goes on and blends in just like that to the bronzer I've put on. I love this. So do the other eye. I just can't get enough of it. So I've gone off camera and added some eyeliner and some mascara, and that is the final look using this absolutely sensational eyeshadow. So this one is called Beauty Sleep, if I didn't mention it. I have linked it below. If you follow the link, it actually opens a different one, a very tempting one as well actually. But if you can't find Beauty Sleep straight away, if you go to the menu and then choose the pressed eyeshadow powder option, you'll see there's 4 different shades in this range. I want all 4, to be honest, if they're all this good. I've resisted and I've just got 2. So now I've got 3 out of 4. So now onto these NARS lipsticks. So I did actually get 4 of these, but one of them is slightly delayed. So I'm still going to show you these 3. I might include the 4th in a shorts video, so look out for that one. So firstly, just show you the packaging. Very solid packaging with this raised embossing here of the name NARS. It's got a very strong magnetic closure, so strong that they don't want to talk to each other. You know, they just keep knocking each other over on the counter. So these are £34. They've just become available here in the UK on Look Fantastic and NARS, and they've been available in the US a little bit longer, I believe, in Sephora. So this is the shade Dirty Talk. And this is described as a rose pink, and this one is Excess, which is Auburn brown, and be a nice autumn shade. Very pigmented for me, so quite an adventurous shade. Then I've got Rendezvous. That's described as a rose brown. So there's Rendezvous. I think I'll start with Rendezvous. Very pigmented. I'm going to use my brush. I use this dense eyeshadow brush with colours this deep for me, to go into the edges so that it slightly blurs out the edges. So that's just one very small layer, so super pigmented, very comfortable, very smooth, definitely not emphasizing lines, not particularly disguising them either. Really very comfortable and beautiful. This is a lovely autumn colour. I think I'll get a lot of use out of this one. I'll just put a little bit more on. So that's how it's looking more built up. So these are pretty buildable, because that has really taken the colour up, hasn't it? That is beautiful. I love that. I'm definitely going to be using that in my autumn rotation and winter. Stunning. So next I'm going to try the Excess. This is the Auburn brown. Again, a very deep shade and very adventurous for me. I don't often go this deep. Again, using my brush to blur out the edges. So that's how a soft wash of Auburn brown looks. That's a very soft wash. I'm going to put a bit more on. So that's Excess. I definitely don't like this one as much as Rendezvous. Rendezvous I know I will use a lot. This one is nice, but I don't think it's as nice. They're quite similar actually, aren't they? But I definitely prefer Rendezvous. But again, very comfortable. Definitely a good winter one, this. Maybe even more of a sort of rich winter shade, whereas the other one maybe more autumn. So depending on what you want to match it up with, but really pretty. So I'm going to try Dirty Talk now, the rose pink. Probably the one I thought I would like the most out of the three. Oh, that is a beautiful shade. Less autumn though, maybe more summer, slightly moving towards autumn. So that one's Dirty Talk. Love this one. And the fourth one I've got coming is Body Heat. So I will be showing you that one. I think it's a tea brown. I will be showing you that in a shorts. But yeah, this one and Rendezvous, definitely love those two. But the formula is so comfortable. I really, really like these. I love the packaging. I do like the magnet, although like I said, it's so strong, so you need to be thinking about what goes next to it. But otherwise, very, very nice. I don't think this will last very long. It feels quite grippy, but going by how soft it is, I think after a sort of one drink and a little bit to eat, I will need a top up. But yeah, certainly not a transfer proof, obviously. So that is my full face of everything new, and I have been mostly happy with everything I've tried. I think that the Tom Ford side is looking much better than the Rare Beauty. What do you think? I just think this side is much more perfected. I'm not getting any texture being emphasised, whereas I am a little bit here from the Rare Beauty, and it's just not as smooth, and the colour is better. So unfortunately, the really expensive one is the better one for me, probably out of all the ones I've tried. So none of them will replace my Givenchy though, you do need to know that. My Givenchy Prism Libra will be my top. But I will use this against that. Obviously it's very different colour wise. And the eyeshadow, 1,000,000 out of 10, is absolutely stunning. Probably one of the nicest, if not the nicest I've ever tried. So highly recommend checking out Karla Cosmetics, because if all their pressed eyeshadows look like this, then I will be buying every single one. Love it. And the blushes, as you know, were a little bit of a struggle for me. If you've got darker skin, you might love that rich pink, or if you have my skin tone, you might want to go for the light orange or the lighter pink. It definitely worked for me better on powder. I don't know what you thought in the video, but I think that application is so much better. It's completely dried down. I didn't put any powder on top of it, so we've got the liquid sitting on top of powder, but not powdered on top, and it's totally dry, no stickiness whatsoever, which is very unique, very different to any of the liquid blushes I've tried. Some of them do dry down quite well, like the Hourglass, but this one really dries down more than any of the ones I've tried. Even the ABH, which is matte, this dries down more. And then the lipstick, beautiful formula, huge collection of colours. I really like the ones I've tried, especially this one and Rendezvous. Looking forward to trying the next one, Body Heat, as well. So I would love to hear from you. If you've got any recommendations for shades maybe in the NARS that I might need to pick up as well. Hopefully not, because I need to stop buying makeup. But anyway, if you've got any recommendations, maybe our readers would, or subscribers would like to know too. So please do say in the comment section below. And have you picked up any of these blushes? My advice would be to pick up one. It's quite a different formula, so if you just go for one, see what you think before going in and getting too many. And I would love to hear, have you tried it? What's your experience been? Did it work under powder, over powder? How have you found it? And then the setting powder. I don't know if any of you will have tried the Tom Ford yet, but if not, it does look a lot better on this side. It really has been a lot more perfecting. Now I haven't tried it with the Tom Ford Architecture foundation, because that sets so well and is so perfecting. I didn't think it would show off the powder if I used the two together, because it would already look pretty perfect. And then I'm going in with a powder and you probably wouldn't see the difference. So I went in with more of a light base that's quite wet. So I used a skin tint today, so you can really see the effect. But I will try that and I will let you know. So look out for my end of month review, and I'll let you know how it worked on top of Tom Ford and other Tom Ford Architecture foundation, and on top of other formulas. I'll keep using it, but I have tested it a lot, and this is definitely the right application, the light application. Anyway, that is everything. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please do like and subscribe if you haven't, and if you already have, as I always say, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate every single one of you very, very much, and I hope to see all of you for my next video. Take care everybody. Bye.